Now to an ABC News exclusive, a Capitol police officer who fought off the violent mob on January 6th is telling his story on camera for the very first time. Officer Harry Dunn told our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas what he saw that day and how he's moving forward.
There were so many calls on the radio. Priority, help, help. Somebody's trapped. We need help. Shots fired.
When Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn went to work on the morning of January 6th, it felt like a normal day.
What's the first moment that you began to get a sense that something is off kilter here?
We were told to get helmets, riot helmets. That was new.
But no sense that all hell could break loose.
Correct, correct.
Then the 13-year veteran seen here watched as the crowd of thousands closed in on the east side of the Capitol.
You just see a sea of people, Trump flags, Confederate flags, thin blue line flags, don't tread on me flags. And then you look down and you see officers fighting with these people, pepper spray, smoke grenades, gas grenades, pepper balls being thrown by everybody, flashbangs. We fought with these people who were prepared for a fight. They had on gas masks, they had on body armor, they had on two-way radios, they had on tactical gear, bulletproof vests. They were ready to go.
When you see that level of preparedness, did that surprise you? Did it scare you?
I was scared. I was absolutely scared. I'm on this platform. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'7". I'm this giant person. And we had our guns out, and I'm thinking, all these people out there, they're armed too. And I'm like, I'm gonna get shot. They're gonna take me out. I remember at one point I said, how is this gonna end?
Eventually, the mob forced its way inside the Capitol building. Officer Dunn confronting a group carrying a Blue Lives Matter flag.
I said, we got dozens of officers down. We got dozens of officers down. And you got the nerve to be holding a Blue Lives Matter flag. I thought they were gonna have a moment where they came to and they realized, like, yo, what are we doing? But like they instantly snapped out of it and they said, nah, we're doing this for you. We're doing this for you. And as one of the guys kept walking by, the other one pulled out his badge and said, trust me, I understand. We're doing this for you, buddy. And he's got a badge. He shows me his badge.
What did you think? Fellow officers in the building?
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
Exhausted, Officer Dunn tried reasoning with a large group of protesters approaching a hallway he was guarding.
I literally told them, if they want to get through here, you got to go through me. And they didn't. They just started talking to me. They were saying how Joe Biden did not win the election and nobody voted for him. So I took the bait and okay, what about me? I voted for Joe Biden. Does my vote not count?
This is when Officer Dunn encountered a couple in the crowd who began hurling the most vile of racial slurs at him, a black officer.
And his girlfriend, she had on a pink MAGA shirt. He said, hey, this voted for Joe Biden, guys. Hey, everybody, this voted for Joe Biden. They said, you.
So the crowd joined in.
Everybody joined in with him.
You're in the Capitol, defending the Capitol. And somehow race seeped into that too.
Everybody wants to say that it was about politics and everything, but it was a large number of people in that crowd that were racist.
Did the people who were there tell you why they were there?
We're stopping the steal. According to them, they were doing it for us. They were doing us a favor. According to those terrorists.
You're very precise. You use the word terrorist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It wasn't just a mob or a bunch of thugs, you know. They were terrorists. They tried to disrupt this country's democracy. That was their goal. And you know what? Y'all failed.
Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas and ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett joining us now for more. Pierre, what stood out and moved you the most as you listened to Officer Dunn?
Well, first of all, he's speaking for himself and not the department. He wanted us to make that known. I think the sheer chaos the pandemonium, the medieval style fight that was going on there inside that building. It's jarring. You can look in his eyes and see that he's still processing it all. And he is dumbfounded, angry by the sheer, utter, bald-faced, naked racism that he saw.
And Brad, what do you make of Dunn's account of how prepared or unprepared law enforcement was that day?
They were shamefully unprepared. And I don't think it was the Capitol Police's office, themselves, the chief and the people around the chief, maybe in uniform. I don't think it was their fault. I think it was the fault of people above them. I believe Chief Sund, the former U.S. Capitol Police chief, asked for more help. He asked for the National Guard, and he was turned down. And he was told that the optics, quote unquote, weren't right to have the National Guard there. Nor initially did he have any other law enforcement there. I mean, you just see this massive breakdown that it was obvious what was about to happen. And it spilled out in front of all of us. And the first two things I thought of after it was over is it didn't need to happen. And the idea that there were actually sworn officers in that crowd that was part of that riot, it just speaks volumes about how brainwashed some people really are.
And Pierre, Attorney General nominee Merrick Garland, whose confirmation hearing is happening in the Senate Judiciary Committee right now, he has said that he will establish an independent outside panel to investigate the Capitol siege. What's the status of the investigation right now, and how could that panel help?
Well, in terms of any panel by DOJ, look, that could be complicating because there is an ongoing criminal investigation right now. They have identified well over 200 suspects. I'm told that hundreds more are being looked at. 200 or so have been charged. So this is the biggest, most sweeping FBI investigation in recent memory, perhaps the biggest ever. And just imagine trying to assign specific acts and find evidence for all those suspects. And they're trying to build toward sedition cases. There have been some conspiracy charges brought, but they literally are trying to identify everybody in that building, particularly the people who committed acts of violence and vandalism. And separate and apart from that, you have to worry about the various groups that have been cited as to whether they pose a domestic terrorism threat.
And Brad, you touched on law enforcement being part of that crowd. We heard Officer Dunn in the interview saying at least one of the rioters showed him a badge. So what do we know about the extent to which law enforcement officers participated in this assault right now? And how can that part of the story change the impact of this event when you look at it from an investigative perspective?
So let's start with how many were there. I don't really know. There have been publicly a number of officers that have been fired, suspended from various agencies across the country. But I think really the most important element of this is why they felt justified to literally break the law and potentially harm and or kill fellow police officers. And we really need to get to the base root of that. That's the real key here, because I don't feel like this ship is going to turn around until people's eyes are really open and they accept that the things that they've been told, like the election was a fraud, etc., is just not true. But I will tell you, that's a difficult thing to do, particularly when people are basically brainwashed. It's that they have to get disillusioned at some point. And I don't see that happening yet.
All right, Pierre Thomas and Brad Garrett, great to have you both. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.